Okay, so thank you, Gandhar Dada, for being here and accepting my request and to be our uh, international speaker. So thanks. Yeah, thank you so much. And thanks to everyone for joining us tonight. Those who cannot join us, the recording link will be shared with you. And before we start, I have few things to share. So um, my name is Vandana, and I am the managing director of RIHHA. And it has always been my vision or my dream, you can say, to take RIHHA globally and to present international speakers on this platform and share knowledge, experiences, and get connected with the like-minded people uh, globally, not just in New England or in Rhode Island, also with the holistic practitioners, friends, and the general public. Um, then in past, we had a few opportunities and we had a few international speakers. Dr. Mandar Patkar was one of them. Then Jed was there in before a couple of months. And yesterday also he had an event. And tonight we have Gandhar Mandlik as our speaker. I already have posted in the emails and the Facebook group about Gandhar. He is a very well-known yoga guru and a director of Yoga Vidya Gurukul Ashram in Nashik. That is my hometown. And he, by like, he is a trained engineer but moved to yoga in 2000, and he holds a master's degree in clinical psychology and is currently pursuing his PhD in the University of Sydney, Australia. His main subjects of interest include the scientific aspects of yoga, yoga for psychological and mental health, and various mantras and yoga philosophy, particularly from the Bhagavad Gita. Then about the ashram, I would like to say that Yoga Vidya Gurukul, that is the residential school of yoga that was founded in 1978 by Gandhar's father, Yogacharya, Dr. Vishwas Mandlik, and which is a non-profit organization. They are the leading yoga institute in India. They have more than 18,000 yoga teachers all over India and 5,000 plus yoga teachers in various other countries and more than 300,000 yoga students all over the world. They have 35 centers in India and many centers in Singapore, Australia, Hong Kong, Kazakhstan, Italy, and Thailand. They offer various residential and online yoga programs, and there are different levels they teach. Some of them are yoga teacher training, pre and postnatal yoga teacher programs, yoga for kids as a yoga teacher, then yoga psychology programs, Ayurveda lifestyle program, and therapeutic yoga programs for various diseases. And the various levels they offer in yoga are diploma, bachelor's, master's, and fellowship programs as well. Their organization or the ashram is also involved in seva or services nearby 50 villages, and they conduct regular medical camps, construction of temples, water arrangements, and village sanitization, and teaching English and yoga for underprivileged kids or people are some of the activities I would like to mention here. I also have a small clip to show how the ashram looks like, where is it located, and how beautiful it is. So just let me share my screen with you all. And can you all see it? Isn't that beautiful? So, before we start our lecture tonight, I would have a few. I would like to make some announcements. The recording will be available for all participants to watch later. Then we have one more special event in October, and Linda Gendron will talk about the Public Health Alliance in UK. It's a new project, and she will be presenting 1 hour presentation to form something like in New England. Then next regular meeting will be in September 15th, which is the third Thursday, and Robin will be our speaker. And if you have any questions, please, you can type in the chat box, so that I can have those questions ready for Gandhar. And with no further ado, I would like to mm, thank again Gandhar, and thanks for being here, and just enlighten us with your knowledge. So over to you, Gandhar Dada.
Thank you, Vandana. And thank you to all of you, Rhode Island Holistic Healing. I really like this idea of the holistic practitioners coming together. And yoga is actually a system that supports what you guys doing. Yoga has very simple beliefs. And the belief is, if you're getting sick, then the healing power is within you. And the healing power is around you. You just need to be able to connect with that healing energy. You don't need to really do things outside, out of the box, or find somewhere in some research labs. They're just available around you. So, yoga's journey of health starts with one word, and there's one more word that adds to it. So, I'll tell you two words summarizing the whole science of yoga. The first word is relaxation, and the second word is concentration. That's it. All the yoga practices are focused on these two words: relaxation and concentration. Let's talk about relaxation. Today's scientific world, today's scientific understanding is stress is the root cause of all our problems. Physical problems or mental problems. Stress is the biggest risk factor. We all understand that lifestyle disorders, how they come? They come because of stress. Diabetes is a result of stress. Hypertension, result of stress again. Cardiovascular disease, stress again. Neurodegenerative disorders, stress. Autoimmune disorders, stress. Hormonal disorders, directly stress. So you name the disorder and it has connection with stress. The stress is even taking out 5 to 15 years of our life. That's what the research, the synthesis of research on stress says. That if you're experiencing stress, you're going to lose 5 to 15 years of your life straight. What about the infection such as COVID? Let me share some researches from COVID from US. This is a very well documented healthcare system in many ways in your country. So researches, they're presented in a very scientific and a very proper way. So the researchers say that if you are acutely stressed, then you going to the emergency room because of COVID, the possibility is much higher. more than 300% chance that you will end up there. Those people who were not acutely stressed, but they still had the other comorbidities, they survived. So it's very important to understand the effects of stress on our physical health. The first effect of stress is obesity, right? Weight gain. Because in stress, your body needs energy. And fats is one of the ways that our body stores energy. So if you're going to get stressed often, then the body accumulates more and more fats. It's a reaction. And why is this reaction there? Because our body is only reacting to one type of stress, that is famine. Like in the past, our ancestors, the stress they had was famine. What if there's no food? So since then, the body has learned that if you are stressed, you need to store more, because if there is a famine and you will not get food, then you will need to have some storage. And that response of our body to the famine has not changed till date. What has happened in today's world is because of the fast changing pace of our life. If you look at last 70 years since the industrial revolution, the things have changed drastically. The stress that people used to have 100 years ago and the stress that people have today is completely different. There was no traffic jams that time. There were no uh, like regular problems of office work, deadlines and all of that. They didn't have deadlines or anything. They just like put some seeds in the farm and just wait for 3 months. It was not a very big deal that time. But right now it's like every day there's a problem. Every day, 2 times, 3 times. And if you really go into that physiology of stress, you'll realize what is exactly happening to stress. Now, let me just explain why I'm focusing more on stress. Because look, the current medical understanding, you're all healthcare related people, so you probably all understand this better than me. Just to recollect it, it's at the core of all our problems. And the stress reaction of the body, which is actually made like it was helpful to our ancestors because they used to face the threats such as predators, facing a tiger, a lion, or a bear. At that time, when you face such threat, the stress hormones are released. Why? Because the body needs to mobilize the energy for the fight or flight response. This was the simple reason. And this stress response saved our ancestors. That's how they could fight or they could flight, run away from these predators. And that saved their life. And that's how we are alive today. So it's actually a good response that saved life. Now, although it saved life that time, right now we don't face tigers or lions or bears, but we face boss. We face our uh, political situations around. We have the constant demand of our work and family, and they are not going away. So the tiger is being replaced by the boss, the lion is being replaced by the political situations, the bear is being replaced by the fear of, even the fear of traffic. And the problem is The bear used to, like we used to have encounter in old times. Human beings used to have encounter with bear maybe once in a week, once in a month. But in today's situation, all these work and life stresses that we experience are there every day, 3-4 times. So this reaction that was life-saving in the old times is triggered every day 2-3 times. And that is a massive problem. Because when you are stressed, your body is spending energy. When you are stressed, your immune system is suppressed. When you are stressed, your blood glucose is very high. When you are stressed, your blood pressure is high. It is there for a reason, to save you, so that you can have fight and flight response. But then there were 7 days, 20 days, 1 month in between these reactions in the old times. And now this reaction is 3-4 times a day. So what is happening to me is my body is unable to relax. Before it starts relaxing, one more time I have a stress reaction. Again, I have stress reaction for some other reason. These little stress reactions that are triggered, whether it's because of anxious thoughts, whether it's because of your sad feelings, whether it's because of someone not doing something right, or whether it's because of your own expectations of yourself, it's the reaction is triggered continuously. And that actually is the bottom line of all our health conditions. Mental problems, anxiety, depression, schizophrenia, personality disorders, mood disorders, unipolar, bipolar, every psychological problem has stress as one of the main risk factors. As per the APA manual, American Psychiatric Association manual, which is DSM-5 right now, you can see stress is everywhere, even schizophrenia, which is very surprising. So the whole idea is about the stress, and yoga has targeted this stress right from the word go. The starting point of yoga, as all of you know, is yoga poses, yoga positions, physical postures. Now the physical postures, there's a lot of studies coming out now. And what these studies are saying, you're doing, say, cobra pose, or you're doing a warrior pose, you are doing a bow pose, or a forward bend, or a twist, or a stretch. What are these positions about? What are they doing? First of all, when we are stressed, the muscles are tensed. When we are stressed, our normal tone of the muscles is disturbed. When I am doing these yoga poses, I am restoring the normal tone of the muscles. Many times when we get stressed, the abdominal muscles are contracting. The back muscles they are stressed. So after experiencing the stress, our back is hurting, or the neck is hurting because the muscles here get very tight. For some people, it's probably about the arms, hands. Some people have wrist issues because the muscles constantly are tense. What yoga poses do is they release that strain in the muscles that the state of stress induces. Another very interesting thing that the yoga poses do is they actually strengthen the connection of your brain with different parts of the body. Because I have to be aware of my own body in those yoga poses. Say I'm doing a twisting. Now in the twist, I have to be aware of my back. I have to be aware of my middle back, upper back, neck. I have to be aware of my shoulders because I'm using them to get into the pose. And I'm feeling a comfortable stretch there. Of course, the stretch should not become uncomfortable. There should not be any pain. That's the rule mentioned in yoga texts, which is again based, you can justify this based on the knowledge of our medical science. But then when I am aware of my body, what's happening exactly? Along with this body awareness, I am also asked to focus on breath. So I'm telling you two things. When you're doing a yoga pose, you're focusing on breath and you're focusing on body parts. Now, when you're focusing on your body parts and breath, the brain treats this attention as highest priority. For the simple reason that our breathing is most crucial for our life. And when I am trying to pay attention to the breath, the the attentional areas in my brain are completely focused on breathing. And that takes away my attention from my thoughts and emotions. So this is a good distraction, we can say. This is what I am saying to you is also scientifically presented as some hypothesis. So it has a lot of scientific backing. I'm not going to get into different areas of the brain because it's too technical. I don't want to get into that. So the whole idea of the focus on body parts and focus on focus on breath is about the brain getting out of the thinking and emotional dimension and just simply focusing on your body sensations and breathing. Now, this is nothing negative about it. It's just a normal proprioception, as you can call it. It's just a body sensation awareness. And that is known to bring down the stress reaction. Because the stimulation to the stress axis, the sympathetic part of the nervous system, is gone. And this is a very crucial part. Over a period of time, what happens is when you're practicing these yoga poses every day, your body actually becomes habitual to getting rid of that stress reaction. And that is what is most crucial. I can get rid of the stress reaction. That's most important. Often someone has anxiety and the person comes to you, and probably you have had many people coming and telling you all these problems. It's a simple thing for us to understand and for that person also to understand that if certain thoughts are making you anxious, don't think about them. The problem is there's no control because the thoughts are just continuously going and I can't really stop them. And every time I have these thoughts, they trigger emotional reaction. Whether it's the reaction of fear or in depression case is the reaction of sadness. It's a reaction. So inability to intervene in this thinking process is a big problem. But yoga poses practice, a simple practice, helps that. Another aspect of yoga is breathing. Now there's enough studies on breathing that also tell us that yes, if you are trying to control the breath, what's happening? There's two controls that our breathing has. We know that. One is autonomic nervous system, the respiratory center, and the second is voluntary control. We can, with our will, we can control our breathing to some extent, not completely. Because if you are trying to just hold the breath, then it becomes almost impossible for us to hold the breath beyond certain point. And even if you want to hold for longer, the brain takes away your control. That is autonomic control over this function of breathing. But to some extent, the voluntary control is there. Now, when you're trying to work with the breathing, you're stretching your limits of inhalation, exhalation, holding the breath. I was reading another research paper that when you are holding the breath, the baroreflex sensitivity is more. And it brings in parasympathetic nervous system. And there's a strong stimulation to parasympathetic. So it's a very interesting process that these yoga masters thousands of years ago understood and put it into practice. How these mechanisms in our brain are being manipulated by these yoga practices. And pranayama is a classic example of that. Many things are still not known to us as to exactly how this is going to work or how is this working. But there are some hypotheses. And one of them I am telling you. Now go to mindfulness meditations. Again, the breath is there. Of course, mindfulness has its roots in Buddhism and yoga both. As per the founder of the mindfulness concept, Dr. Kabat-Zinn, he's from US, and his research has led to this wonderful technique of mindfulness. And people all over the world have benefited great with this technique. So Kabat-Zinn also has written elaborately on the possible mechanisms as to how this breath awareness or how this control of breath might work. And he's brought in some higher level networks of the brain related to our frontal lobe and cortex, the prefrontal cortex, especially the executive networks in our brain, and how they're allowing us to control our emotions, emotional regulation, how this breathing focus can help us control our emotions. And exactly that's what's being highlighted in yoga texts. If you practice breathing, then it will give you emotional control. Look, as such, thoughts become negative when they trigger negative reactions, emotions. So emotions are more important when it concerns our health. And stress is also triggered when there is an emotion. So this emotional regulation is very important in psychology. And that's precisely what is the purpose of pranayama. Now, these processes are about relaxation aspect. The yoga poses, the breathing. They're talking about how we can deactivate the stress reaction. But beyond this, there is a practice of meditation. The meditation practice is also a very interesting dimension. What do we do in meditation? We are trying to focus our attention on one object. You can say the distracted state of mind. When we are stressed, we are distracted. When we are anxious, we are distracted. When we are depressed, we are distracted. The mind has lots of thoughts and we have absolutely no control over them. But compare it with a state of concentrated mind. And this is a very crucial state where only one thought or one direction is there. And all your resources, mental resources, are channelized into that direction. Lot of studies are indicating that this selective attention is actually very important. It stimulates all the good healing processes in our brain, and naturally they go down to lower structures, all other areas of our body. Of course, the mechanisms are quite complex, but of course, again, emotional regulation is there. Again the stress deactivation is there, but there is something more to that concentration than this just deactivation of stress. Like lot of activity is increasing in your prefrontal cortex. The executive network in our brain is showing stimulation. The memory circuits are also showing improvement. So still under process investigation into meditation. But yoga has said that if you're doing a meditation, you can actually change everything. You can change your genes, you can change your mind, you can change your body, you can change everything. Some studies have pointed out in that direction that with concentrated efforts, you can change the gene expressions. There are studies now. You can safely believe those studies are very high quality studies. So what yoga texts have been saying, there is some kind of evidence as far as meditation is concerned. And yoga says you can actually be a completely different person through the practice of meditation. I get stressed with this thing. I deactivate that stress, and then I change my mind in such a way that whatever situation is around me, I don't get stressed. It does not affect me. And is it possible? Well, as we evolved, we already have changed things. When I was a child, I was very attached to my little toy. If someone would take away that toy, I would be very sad. But then I grow up, and in this process of growing, I have got over the attachment to that toy. And now at this age, if someone gives me that toy, I'll probably smile. But if someone takes away that toy, I'm not going to get sad, that's for sure. So something has grown in my field of consciousness, which we call as mind. And this growth of this consciousness is what happens as a result of meditation. Meditation is connected with these creative states of our mind, which is again a very important aspect. We need creativity because with this creativity, we can find solutions to our problems. We can make our life more beautiful and more positive with creativity. Creativity is the core, and you can achieve that creativity through the practice of meditation. I don't want to go into the yoga examples, but let me share some examples of Einstein. Everyone has heard of Einstein's contributions to the scientific field. The theories that he presented 100 years ago, some of these are coming, like people are able to prove it now. So he could see all these things 100 years ago. Say gravitational waves, when the black holes merge, they create ripples in the time-space fabric as presented by Einstein. And these can be measured by these LIGO detectors, this laser measurement. Very interesting discovery the scientist made. Also his discovery, his hypothesis that the light is bent by the gravity was discovered much later in the Second World War. He presented it much before. So it's interesting how Einstein could foresee these things. and how he could actually visualize all of these things. And if you go into the life story of Einstein, you'll see that he was doing something called thought experiments. So he used to just sit and he used to visualize that he's traveling at the speed of light. It was like a meditation. And through these states of concentrated focus, he was able to go deeper and discover all these fantastic uh, laws of our universe. There's many examples you can take for this creativity. Sorry, Jim?
I don't mean to interrupt, Doctor. This is the Einstein-Rosen bridge. He talked about the metamorphic field, right? And he called it the Einstein-Rosen bridge. They did a lot of experiments with instant telecommunication, if you will.
Oh, that's interesting. I actually need to check that. Thank you for sharing it. I will see it. Yeah, that's nice. So this idea of meditation is actually something to expand our mind, make it more creative, so that we can find more positive connections and more positive things around us. So de-stressing yourself and then concentrating your mind is the process of yoga. Now, but just asanas, just yoga poses, just breathing, just meditation, is it easy? Yoga has said something more to it. Yoga has said that if you want to walk on this path, you also need to make changes to your lifestyle. It's very, very important. I cannot just go and practice yoga poses. I need to change my lifestyle. I cannot just sit and start controlling my breathing, or I cannot just sit and start meditating. I need to change my lifestyle. It's very, very clearly mentioned in all yoga texts. 50 years back, people only knew yoga as yoga poses. That's it. Then people started integrating meditation in their practices when they started practicing yoga. But I'm happy to say that in today's world, I have some national surveys from US and UK also, and Australia. And I am very happy to tell you that almost 60-70% of the yoga practitioners identify modification of lifestyle with yoga as an inseparable part, which is very important. And yoga has always advocated particular way of lifestyle, particular way you eat the food, particular food that you eat, the daily routines that we have, a particular discipline to that routine. And this is very critical for these practices. Now, what does the science say about this lifestyle? I think I don't need to tell you, because the whole idea of your group is about lifestyle. So I think you guys are very well versed with these ideas of lifestyle and how important this lifestyle is for health. The food, recently one of my professors in my university, who is a world renowned authority on longevity, his name is Professor Luigi Fontana. He's an Italian guy, but he works in University of Sydney for many years. He was in US for many years. He's one of the leading authorities. So he was just saying that we all understand how food has connection with longevity, how much important food is in our lifestyle disorders. We all know that. I'm not getting into it. But what he was saying was the food has connection with our emotions. The food has connection with the way we think. The food affects all of that. Now, this is a very subtle point. He was also talking about fasting. Now, probably you guys are also very much discussing this intermittent fasting and all of that. So, I don't want to get into it because you all good at all these subjects. But his thing was Annamayam Somyamana. Correct. Yes, correct. That's what yoga says. That the food has made your mind. Because the mind itself is made up of the physical elements. And that's why what you eat defines your mind. What you eat makes your thoughts. What you eat makes your emotions. This aspect is very much a focus of yoga's techniques and system. What time you eat, how much you eat, all these things are very, very important. I am sure you guys have studied the blue zone diets. Blue zone diets.
I haven't heard about it. Jim, you might have.
It's quite popular. Yes, Jim.
Yes, that's where you live the longest, is in the blue zone.
Correct. That's where you live the longest. Absolutely. But now these blue zone diets, they're very, very close to what yoga diets are. Absolutely close. Except the non-vegetarian part of it. But anyway, in blue zone diets, the non-vegetarian diet is very small proportion. Once in a week, 2 or 3 times in a month is what the non-vegetarian diet is there. Even if the fish is there, maybe it's once or twice a week, not more than that. Very, very specific about blue zone diets. They are mostly vegetarian diets. They are 70% carbohydrates, 25% proteins from lean sources like nuts, legumes, lentils, beans, mostly vegetarian diets with a lot of vegetables, fruits also. So it's a very important like comparison between these blue zone diets and yoga diets. They're quite parallel, quite same. And this is known to have a very good effect on our metabolism. There's a wrong perception right now that says that the high protein diet is actually good. In my university, my center, the Charles Perkins Center, our faculty, medicine faculty that I am doing my PhD in, is ranked 7th in the world. And our center is one of the top 5 centers for diet related studies. And it's a very clear evidence, I'm telling you, very clear evidence that our diet should have smaller portion as proteins, not the major portion, because our genetics are not used to this high protein consumption. And high protein consumption is actually not good for our liver, kidneys, the vital organs. We have a limited capacity to process the proteins. I don't know about short-term studies. Short-term studies are highlighting some weight loss with high protein diet, but I don't want to get into the short-term effects of that. I am speaking strictly of long-term metabolism related effects of these diets. So anyway, yoga has given a lot of importance to this diet, which goes very close to these blue zone diets. And then yoga has also given a lot of importance to our routine. Very interesting to see these diets and routines is very closely connected with our nature around us. This how the sunrise times, the sunset times, the full moon, new moon cycles, the mother earth, the plants, interesting things. yoga says is you have to connect more closely to the nature. All the names of the yoga poses, if you see, they are all the names of the mother nature objects. Certain plants, certain animals. Yoga talks about walking on the earth. Yoga talks about going into the uh, more natural environments and doing yoga practices there. One of the Stanford professors of microbiology, he was talking about the gut bacteria, and I was listening to that. And he said something very interesting, that professor, he said that in last 50 years, the variety of gut bacteria has gone down by at least 40%. The variety we have lost, the diversity we have lost. And he says that's one of the main reasons for lifestyle disorders, including mental health issues. Now we all understand that the serotonin, which is implicated in depression, serotonin that is important in our depression state, is also produced in our gut. Serotonin is produced in gut also. Now, testosterone is also produced in our gut. So many hormones are produced in our gut. We haven't yet understood the role of all of this exactly. But the science is now investigating more the gut-brain axis link, how they are linked so closely. Now this professor was saying that if we have lost so much of diversity, and that is causing the lifestyle disorders, we must restore the diversity. And how to restore the diversity? Most important is diet, but also our exposure to these natural environments, which has gone down drastically. We don't want to touch the soil because we think there are germs. We don't want to touch the trees and all of that because we don't know what germs we'll get. And he was actually saying that he works in his own garden every day, which is all organic that he's doing it. So once in a week, he goes to remote areas where there's some trees, there's some swamps, some wet places. That's when we expose ourselves. When we expose ourselves to these areas, our gut bacteria build faster. That's what he was saying. Very interesting kind of idea, that instead of me going to super sanitized place in some mall or something, I should go to the forest, just expose myself to these areas for some time. And that's precisely what yoga has been talking about, that my connection with the nature is so critical for my health. If I don't do that, I'm going to have problems. And we are having it all over the world. There's a pandemic of these lifestyle disorders. And the more technologically advanced we're becoming, the more weaker we are getting inside. So I think yoga is about relaxation, yoga is about concentration, and yoga is about connection. So this idea of yoga is very easy, cheap. You can practice on your own, and you can develop a positive life for yourself. So I think you all as practitioners of this alternative and complementary and healing systems, I'm sure you'll also start including practices of yoga for yourself and for your clients. And I'm very happy that Vandana invited me. here to talk with you. And of course, many of you are not here, but I'm sure you're going to go through the video later on. So I want to wish you all the best for what you guys are doing, and certainly we'll meet again in future. So thank you, Vandana. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Beth. Candy was there, right?
Thank you, Gandhar. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? No. Okay.
I
Jim,
wrote,
yeah.
I have a great takeaway was the pandemic of lifestyle disorder.
Yep.
I like that one. That's a good one.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's so true.
It is a pandemic. Yeah, it's true.
Mhm. So, Jim, would you like to wrap up? Like, say
Sure.
something to wrap up? Yeah. Mhm.
So I mean, I apologize for interrupting Gandhar for that the Einstein-Rosen
No,
bridge.
no, 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 no. Thank you for telling me. I'm going to check that now.
Yes. So these two, so Dr. Rosen and Dr. Einstein got together and did experiments with the morphogenetic field, and were able to quantify telecommunication on a random basis to random individuals and actually quantify it, time it, and validate it. That we knew that anyways. I thought that it was
Wow.
humble of them to name it after themselves. That's existed for thousands and thousands of years. Now
Yes.
it comes the Einstein-Rosen bridge. It's brilliant.
That's interesting. Yeah, it was existing. That's true. It's existing for years. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
And
It was very, very informative, and thank you very much thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us all the way from Australia, certainly. And thank you, Beth and Candy. I think Candy probably had to go. A lot of times people have
Yeah.
previous engagements and kind of have to stick to a schedule.
She had some internet issues.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, but nice having you guys.
Yes, and thank you, and we would love to have you again. So thank you very much for joining us, and it was fantastic. So thank you very much, guys.
Thank
you,
you.
Gandhar. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Jim. Thank you. Thank you, Beth. Vandana. See you.
See you. Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. And thank you, Gandhar, once again.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
And Jim, thanks to you as well.
Thank you.
Have a good night, guys, and good day to you, Gandhar. Bye bye.
Bye bye.